before you start a business, you have a business plan, you do your research and all those things. Mine was different from that script. What got me started was a personal need. So my child was gluten intolerant and I had to find gluten-free alternatives for him. And so I was doing it for my family, and then friends and other family members became interested in what I was doing and they started buying from me. So that's how my business started. I really did not have a plan, or I did not do any market research to understand what is needed, what is not needed. And so at that time, I was doing it from my kitchen at home. So I'd buy the flour, different flours, and try and see what I can make locally, because gluten-free at that point was a very foreign term. And so I started selling the flour, but I wasn't comfortable because when I'd buy from the market, the quality kept varying. Today, the flour would be whitish, the next time it would be creamish. And I knew food is a concern. So if I cannot assure quality, I felt like if anything goes wrong with the client, especially because these are very sensitivities, people can react to many things. I did not want to put myself at risk. So I decided that if I want to grow this business, I have to do my own production. Still at this time, I was just operating on demand and supply people require. So I'd sell on and off. At one point I was in employment, so the business stalled, but somehow I kept finding myself going back into it. So in 2019, I went to Kirdi, and at Kirdi, I learned how to produce the flour, and I started now producing. So at this point in time, I was now kind of getting into the business frame of trying to understand my market and marketing. But now the challenge at Kirdi was that it's a shared facility, so you cannot produce on demand. At times I'd have to wait even for 2 months before I could do production. And now that was limiting my market growth. So now the next challenge for me was I have to find my own space for production where I can produce continuously. And I was still at the startup phase. And one of the main challenges is to get capital. So there are many women accelerator programs. So I joined one. And then at the end of the training, there's promise of financing, which never materializes. So tried very many ways to raise capital. Part of the training, we were connected to a bank. And I think for 4 months, it was back and forth, until eventually I realized they're not going to give me the money. So at that point, it was either I was still producing at Kirdi, but my market was very small because of what I was capable of producing. So I heard about crowdfunding through a friend. He actually shared a link from Facebook about crowdfunding and raising money for your business. And I'd only heard of it as a foreign concept. So this company was coming to do it locally. And I was stuck at that point. So I applied for it. And initially they told me they're supporting people in the creative space, artists, musicians, and the like. Then later on, they called me and asked me if I was still interested. So we had a crash training of a day or two. And then the next week we were launching the crowdfunding campaign. And so my goal was to get capital to be able to set up my own space. So I did the campaign and I was able to raise 300,000 Kenya shillings. And crowdfunding it's like an online harambe where you talk to people and ask them to contribute to your company or your whatever cause. It doesn't have to be business. It could be anything. So I got 300,000. And with that, so I knew with 300,000, there's nothing much I can do with it in Nairobi. So I decided to go back to my rural home in Siaya. because there's I mostly work with cassava, so there's a lot of cassava in that area. So went, looked for space, leased, and I used the money to set up the solar dryer. So that was in January, February of 2020. Then in March, when we just finished setting at the end of Feb, in March, COVID happened. And we literally had to just stop everything until maybe May, June is when we got back on track. And now we've been working from Siaya, and that's, in a summary, is what happened. And so one of the things that I really learned from my journey is at times you have to go the unconventional way, especially, I think most businesses, especially when you're starting up, where you have to prove your business. And even when you've proved your business, the main challenge could be getting financing. And I had to go the unconventional way of crowdfunding. And at times you have to educate people on what you're doing, especially because what I'm doing was not common at that point. Now gluten-free is not as strange as it was at that point. So there was a lot of educating people. Many things about my business were unconventional. So the crowdfunding, the products I'm dealing with, and even for most people is, why are you going back to the village? Why can't you lease space on Mombasa Road and do production? And so in as much as I did not start with a business plan or a particular goal, it was just, let's do this thing and see where it goes. Along the way, I've had to sit down and really look at what do I want to achieve out of my business. And my business has a bit of community involvement because I buy the raw materials from the farmers. So along the way, you keep redefining what you're up to. And one of the things I've learned is, as I said, at times you have to be unconventional. Just think outside of the box, especially when the conventional ways are not working. And secondly is resilience. Through it all, it's been a journey. I've made mistakes, many mistakes. And even I've initially, when I realized that this is what I'm going to do, I could have taken time and do the things that businesses do, especially in terms of keeping records, understanding my market and where I want to go. I was basically just going with the flow. And I think if I had been more clear on where I want to go, I would have moved faster than I did. Something else that I've learned is, especially, as business people, we want to wait for these networking events so that we can go and network with people. But I've learned that anytime you're meeting someone, it's a networking opportunity, and never shy away from sharing whatever you're doing, no matter how small or insignificant you think it is. Because along the journey, every step of the way that I moved, even finding out I was in Kirdi, Nairobi, because I was sharing with a friend, and I didn't even know he also does his production at Kirdi. So every step of the way, just share your journey. Someone that is networking, because you're always meeting people. It's not about going into a room and you're having tea and you're having coffee, then you have, talk to this person for 2 minutes. Every opportunity is a networking opportunity. Also in sharing with someone, that's how I got the space I'm leasing in Siaya. And even the places where I'm stocking, it's more or less come out of conversation with someone, which was not structured, it wasn't planned. So the resources are always around us. It's us to be open to them. I think I could stop there, then ask if there are any questions or if there's anything you'd like to know which I've left out.
Juliet, how did you finally get your products to the supermarkets? For the information of the audience, it was again some meeting place where I happened to meet Juliet. I don't know how many years now, but quite a good number of years. And at that point, you had not started this. You were supposed to be doing another one for building women or something like that. Then this one came along the way. So recently, I've seen that your product is moved to the supermarkets. I know there are enough people who always want to know, how do I get my products out there to the supermarket? How did it go?
Okay. So, well, what I did is I did not start with the mainstream supermarkets, like the chain stores, the top tier, the Quick Marts, the Carrefour, the Naivas. First of all, going into the supermarket is quite capital intensive. Like there's a supermarket, once they list you, you just get a PO to supply to all their branches countrywide. Whichever way you get your product there, that is on you. So at times it might seem like it's the best way, but if you're not ready, it will really be difficult. So what I did is I started with the third tier supermarkets, like the single ones that you find maybe in an estate or in a residential area, but they do not have multiple chains. So at least through that, you're able to understand how the network works, um, the logistics, the procurement, following up on your payments. So at least start somewhere. Unless you have the financial capability, then it would really stretch you. And then with the supermarkets, it's about it's conversation, because they already have many products on their shelves. So why would they have to create space for you, because they're not increasing the size of the supermarket. So you have to know what difference is your product going to make for them, so that they can create space for you on their shelves. And then it's resilience. There are places you go, they'll tell you, come back, come back, come back. Like there are places I had to follow up for almost 6 or even sometimes up to a year. Or they say no, you give them time, then you go back again. And every time you go back, you'll find maybe you can even tell them, this is where I sell, these are the places I sell, and the product is doing well. And so when you get into those spaces, like there's one supermarket I'd been following up on, and then the person went and saw the product in another shop. Now they called me themselves. I didn't have to follow them up. So even when you go and they don't say yes, at least they have an idea that you exist. So when they see you somewhere, they'll connect the dots and they will call you back. So it's just that. And then one of the things that I learned, especially when you're starting out, at times you're just excited they've said yes. So you really don't have a contract or any form of agreement. You just start supplying the products. So even before you go, ensure, like most people who are building a business, like for me, my background is not in business. And so there are many things that you might not be aware of, but like probably just have a checklist, like in terms of finance, what are the basic requirements for a business? If it's in terms of procurement and supply, what are the basic requirements? So maybe create contracts with your suppliers, create contracts with the people you are selling to. And these are things you can just get on Google and customize to your business. So I've had to learn the hard way, but you don't. And so just have basically documentation for everything that you're doing in your business, so that whenever you're going to these supermarkets, some of them will have, now later on I found those who have their own contract, and it's like, oh, you actually need a contract. Now then you create your own. So just have that. I hope I've answered you fully.
Thank you.
Yes,
There are a few other questions there. I don't know if you are able to see in the chat.
yeah, I can see them. Yeah,
Yes.
I was in Kirdi in Nairobi, not in Kisumu. I found out about Kisumu much later on. My top 3 marketing and avenues, mostly it's social media and word of mouth. those are my top three. Those are the top two. Social media, and mostly I get referrals from people. My products are Blossom Health Essentials. We have gluten-free flour for people who cannot consume wheat. We also have plain cassava, which you can use. You can mix it together with maize flour, or you can use it for porridge. You can use it, some people mix it with wheat, a bit of wheat to make chapatis, or you can just use it on its own. So that's what we make. We also have like pancake mix, cake mix, chapati, and baking. All of them are gluten-free. How did my experience help? Oh, what I was doing before. So my background is in biomedical lab technology. And I never really got a job in that field. Then I studied occupational safety and health. And so I worked as a safety and health supervisor, advisor for a couple of, for like 2 years. So I think my background in, I was interested in research. So that really helped me in terms of product development, because I did the product development myself. And that was because, it's trial and error, trial and error. I think that scientific background was helpful in that regard. And then in terms of safety and health, it's mainly coming in terms of compliance and the safety and health of workers. One of the things, if I was to do things differently, I think being in employment, there's something you learn about how business works. And I did not have that because my job was mostly supervision in the field. So I never really had that experience of being in an office setup or just understanding the different things in business. For me, it was, is my site safe? Are people safe at work? That was all I was focused on. So I think there's a role of employment because it helps you, understand the systems, the structures, and it would make your life easier as an entrepreneur. Yeah. So basically, I have not been so much in employment. I've just basically been in business. I started with agriculture. I did greenhouse, bell peppers and tomatoes. I have tried chicken farming. I tried a cleaning company. So just different businesses. But one of the lessons I learned, especially as in doing agriculture, was when the first crop failed, I closed the business. And at times, the first element of failure doesn't mean that you did something wrong. Yeah, so it might not work out the first time, but you keep going. And so even with the business I'm starting now, I'm currently doing, I started it in 2016, I stopped, came back, and every time there's been growth, as opposed to previously when something did not work, I'd close and look for another business. So that is one of the greatest learnings. Yeah. Let's see. No, I do mix it. It's not just cassava. I do add on some other things to make it easy to use. But the main base of our product is cassava. What kept me going? Where did I get the resilience? I think I really enjoyed the whole process of product development. Yeah, and my customers. There are times I've wanted to close shop, and then mostly on those days, you'll get a review from a customer who says, oh, we haven't been able to eat bread or chapati, but your product has made a difference in your life. And especially now that I moved to Siaya and I buy from the farmers. And I realized when the business becomes bigger than you keep pushing on. Initially, it was just me and my child and a few customers. But now when I brought in the farmers on board and we had a meeting and some of them would stand and share how through this business, their children are in school through this business, they're able to do 1, 2, 3. It became bigger than me, and I felt like I have a responsibility towards them. So unless the books are not making sense, I wouldn't just close because maybe elections happened and business was slow. Like by the time I'm deciding I'm closing this business, I've thought through it and it makes sense to close it. Because at times when we think of closing our businesses, it's because maybe this month, maybe for the past 2 months, we haven't hit our targets, or there was a breakdown in the facility, or you're low on capital. There are problems that can be solved. But unless maybe consistently things are not working out and you're making losses, then the bigger picture is what keeps me going. And for now, it's my farmers and the customers. Because remember, I've told them to plant the cassava. So I can't just decide I'm tired of this business, it's not working, I'm closing it. Tips of venturing into business. Business is hard, especially in our economy. Things keep changing so fast, especially now. The cost of production has really gone up. And so I'll go back to, when the business is no longer just about you, then it will keep you going because there's so many other things at stake. It's not just you and how you're feeling, or you're tired, or you're mentally exhausted. And also don't exist on your own. Talk to other people, talk to other businesses, because at times it might feel the challenges you're facing are personal, but it's not personal. It might be even people within your industry and outside your industry, because at times we tend to walk alone, and that can be lonely, and you can easily get discouraged. But when you talk to other people, you realize they're going through the same challenges. They might have solutions. You might find, maybe they might lead you to a cheaper supplier, or they might connect you to a market. So don't walk alone. Just join a network of people, friends in business, and how do you separate business money? So I think now that is easier, especially now that we have M-Pesa, and you can even pay directly to the bank. So just do that. And then especially when you're looking for funding, that is one of the, how you handle your business really matters. And as I previously said, what we suffer from as small businesses or startups is documentation. So like how benefits are a very brief financial management, financial policy. So who is responsible for maybe withdrawing the money, doing the purchases, have a petty cash book, just have the process documented so that it's easier for you. And also when you get someone to help you, they can carry on with the process. So have a separate account for your business, and have a different M-Pesa line for your business. And especially now that sending money to the bank is free, let's encourage your customers to make the direct payment to the bank so that you do not have to handle the money. For now, we haven't done enrichment. We are in the process of understanding what fortification is about. So it's in the pipeline to do that. For now, we work with around 50 farmers. Processing, this year has been very erratic in terms of our processing. Initially, we'd do between 500 to 1,000 kilograms of cassava per week. But one of the challenges we're currently facing is shortage of raw materials because of the ongoing drought. So there's a scarcity of cassava. So that's, but mostly we do around 4,000 kgs per month. Specific protocols with farmers, we are working on that now, when we set up, we just were working with what the farmers already have. But starting next year, we've started like having a contract agreement with the farmers, and then partnering with CALRO and the local extension officers to guide the farmers on how to grow. Cassava is very easy to grow. So there's really no, as long as they have the correct tuber, there's really no methodology to grow it because it doesn't, it's a hardy crop. Yes, we provide flour to other companies who want to retail. Yeah, and they can package it under their own brand. The burnout that comes from carrying on many roles. Yeah, initially I was everything. I was the person who would go buy the cassava, come and peel, dry, package, take to the market, all that. And that leaves you, you might actually resent your business. You hate it because at that time you're working so hard and you're not getting paid for all that work that you're doing. So at times you resent your business, and that's even why you just close, like, let me go and do something else. So the cure for that is just to get people. You can't do it all by yourself. So you have to start somewhere. Maybe get one person to assist with production, then get the next person to do delivery. Get someone, just start reducing your role. There are those things that really, whether you do or not, as long as you've trained someone, they will work well. So that will help. And even for where I'm at now, there's still some roles that I need to find someone to do. And especially because you're a startup and you cannot afford to have many people, maybe you can merge some of the activities or some of the functions so that one person can take care of them. Like with accounting, it would be expensive for a small business to have an in-house accountant. So there are those people who they work with small businesses. So they maybe manage even 5 accounts of different small businesses, and then you pay them a minimal amount of money. So they're not directly employed by you, but they can do the work for you. So those, just the functions that you can get someone else to do, kindly get someone else to do, because you'll end up being burnt out and hating your business, and then you'll close it. I'd seen something with GMO. Yes, that is a very critical question because, again, so, the whole cross-pollination and all those things, I don't know how it's going to work because now that will be another burden for us to prove that your product is not GMO. So for cassava, we still haven't gone that way, but I really do not have an answer for that at this point in time. I work with farmers mostly in Siaya County because, again, of the transport logistics, and the crop does well in that region. So for now, we are working with farmers in Siaya, and also the neighboring county, Busia, have plenty of cassava. So that's where we work. Thank you, Jen. Have I missed any other question?
Thank you. There could be others. I don't know whether you got the one for, do you have specific protocols for the farmers? Which ones do you work for with reference to cassava breeds? Or can they grow?
I answered that. And so there are some improved varieties because the indigenous cassava takes 2 years to grow. And also they were, most of them are susceptible to disease. So there's a variety from CALRO that takes 8 months. So that is what the farmers are growing. In the supermarkets now, we are in some of the quick marts in the city, and also quick mart in Kisii and Thika, and the product is Blossom Health. Blossom Health Essentials, gluten-free flour.
Okay. And do you have, do you do the bakery as well? So that people can also see the cake in the outlets or something like that, or it's just the flour?
For now, it's just the flour. So again, initially I was doing both the bakery products and the flour. And in as much as those two are close together in terms of the space I'm operating in, those are essentially two different businesses. And yes, at times we are told to look at how we can have multiple streams of income in our business, which is a good idea. But also when you're having that, you'll also need multiple streams of capital, of labor, and that. So we don't factor that in. We just think, oh, if I'm also selling cakes, I will make money. But for you to sell that cake, there's the cost of production for that cake. So it was difficult for me to manage the two. So when the baking side was thriving, the flour side was not thriving. And so I decided to put the baking on hold and focus on the flour. So it's a good idea to have multiple streams of income for your business, but it also increases your scope of operation. So you'll need maybe extra labor, there's extra everything. The extra income also comes with extra cost of production. And we always forget to balance that. So it would be a great idea if you can manage it, do it. If not, build one line of income first. Then once it's stable and it's working the way you want it to work, then you can consider having something else.
Maybe another question is the recipe. Does it follow the same recipe to do, like you want to do chapo with your flour as opposed to ngano? Does it follow the same recipe or it requires something special?
Yes, the recipe is more or less the same, with the very slight adjustments, which are also included on the packaging. But you find for things like cake and pancakes, it's just the same. Whatever recipe that you have, you replace with the flour that we have, the blossom flour, and you can make your cake, you can make your mandazi. The only difference is when you're making bread and chapati, where there's a slight variation.
Okay, and you're saying it's labeled on the package?
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Yes, we would be interested in extending to Uganda. We actually have a retailer in Rwanda. We jumped Uganda, but they reached out to us. So in Uganda, it's probably just to go and have conversations again and see what is possible.
Yeah, someone is asking that when you are starting up, you have very little cash. How can you afford to hire extra hands? That's usually a big question in a young business.
You see, now, like I would have to probably process 100 kilograms of cassava. There's no way I was going to peel that on my own in one day and finish. So it's a cost of production that you just have to factor in. At times, you might think you are saving money by not hiring, but you are actually losing money because when you're there peeling cassava does not require any special skills. So I'll be wasting my time peeling a bag of cassava versus going to look for market or planning how to expand my business to Uganda. I'm there peeling cassava. So in the long run, it's an expensive cost. And you just factor that in. Whatever money you have when you're budgeting, budget for that help also. Instead of producing 1,000 kilograms, I can produce 300 and use the rest of the money to do other things.
Thank you. Yeah, and Christine is asking, did you have to go through audits and certifications, especially during the product development? And I know you are a
Yes.
researcher, you have a research background.
Yes, what helped me, I did the product development in my kitchen, and then I went, but by the time I was going to Kirdi, I already had my formulations. What I needed was just how to move from the tuber to the flour. And so KEBS have been able to have certified my product. I'm working on now getting other certifications, the food safety and all the other certifications, because again, there are some markets where if you want to go into, you need those certifications, but the initial product certification can be done by KEBS.
Is there anything you do to avoid or to prevent duplication of your product?
I don't think there's really, this is not like, it's just flour. So it depends on how someone mixes. So I have my own formulations. So at times people will come and ask if you can train them how to do it. So it's upon you to just, you see, like the way Coca-Cola has their formulation, you also have your own, and you have to find a way to protect it. Maybe sign NDAs with the people you work with so that they cannot go and replicate or share. Beyond that, I don't know if there's anything else you can do, but you can patent. But this is not like really an innovation for you to patent, but there's a process you can do it at Kipi, and also trademarking your business name. It can also be done at Kipi. So I've trademarked my business name, but I was looking at the patent because they also give you the guidelines on what qualifies to be patented. So not all things can be patented.
Okay, and then maybe another one is are there some critical business lessons that you learned that you may want to share, that if somebody is going to get started, these are the things you would have loved to know earlier before you got started? And so
Yeah.
you may tell your younger sisters or younger brothers, please ensure you do the following as you are getting started, so that you do not do the same mistakes that I did.
Yes. First thing is, we always think I am a small business. And now you operate everything with a small mentality. You start doing the right things once you become big. And the number one thing was records. Because you're a small business, you're just doing a small thing. You don't need, when you get big, you'll put records, you'll do everything right. From day one, that packet of unga that you bought, write it down, whatever, just make it a habit. I think that would be the biggest lesson. Do not, just because you're small, you see, it's like a child. Even though a child is small, they're still a full human being, you know? So even though you're starting up, it's still a business. So operate it as a business. A business requires records. A business requires documentation. A business requires a plan. So just show up in your business like it's a multinational. It will make your life easier so that you don't have to go back and do the cleanup and try to understand and make sense of everything. And then even in that, still believe in it. Everything started as an idea and then it grew. So believe in your business, treat it as a business, not as a small business, treat it as a business.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that because I deal a lot with young businesses, and part of what I ask is, do you think your business is small or young? And there is a difference between being young and being small. And as you rightly put it, the biggest issue with almost every single small business is cash flow management. I'm glad somebody asked about it. All the monies that come is getting into their pockets, and it's their money to use. And more so people in stock business, all of a sudden they realize they can't afford the stock and they wonder why money has been coming but there is no money. That element of separating business money from your personal money, and even allocating yourself a certain salary so that you do not just consume everything, is a critical thing. It's a critical element. I love that you said many times you have to explain your product. that is another element that most businesses have no idea about. We just know that the moment I have a good product, it will sell. It doesn't just sell. We've got to uncover the need, and we call it uncovering the need. You start explaining and why they need it, why this one is better than, or why, what makes it different from the other ones. And then you talked about passion and to keep you going. You loved what you were doing. So even when you would contemplate quitting, it was passion that kept you going. And then at some point, it was now public responsibility. You see, because you have other people who are depending on you. You talked about something about clarity. You are not very clear about where you are going, and you wish you had been clearer. I don't know what you meant by that. Whether it means you did not have, you did not intend to grow, you did not have a clear vision when you were getting started. And even as you are answering that, I want to ask people who have any comment or question. You can raise up your hand, and then we will unmute you.
Yeah, so as I say, you know, when you listen to most of these successful business people, you know, they had this dream, they had this goal, and then they went and wrote a plan and started implementing it. For me, there was no business plan or anything. It was just, oh, people were asking for this product. Then it slowly morphed into a business. There was not a day where I sat like, no, I want to make gluten-free flour and I want to sell to people. No, it was a need. Then it morphed into a business. So it just kept growing and growing and growing. Yeah. And then that's what I meant. Then now, when I started selling in some shops and to people, then I was like, okay, this is making sense now. Then I started doing my own production. At that time, it still hadn't really hit me that this is like a business. It was just like a thing I'm doing. I'm just doing it on the side. So
side hustle.
Yes, yeah. And then someone had asked about being burnt out, like just take a break. It's okay not to work even for 2 or 3 days. The world will not come to an end. Because at times you can actually get sick. So there are times, and you know yourself, just take a break, even if it's a day, take a break. Because as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, even at times you're in church, but your mind just thinks about your business. You're never resting. So take a break, take good care of yourself. We also don't eat at times. The work is too much. You find maybe you had breakfast or you didn't even have breakfast. You don't get enough sleep. You don't exercise. So you also now compromise your immunity and you become prone to stress.
That's very, very important. I've been dealing with people about that. Somebody is too tired to the extent that the moment they sit down, you are talking to them and they are dozing. You see, they're fatigued, but they don't seem to realize that they can do with additional hands, that it's okay to have structures or systems that I operate between this hour up to this hour, and then I can take this rest. And that becomes a very big problem, and it leads to burnout. They realize that they no longer can open because they are taken ill. When you see too many young people or young businesses, the entrepreneur is the business. You see, so when the entrepreneur goes to hospital, the business has gone to hospital. The business has gone for a wedding and all these other things. So they cut a lot of activities in order to operate, and that becomes a big deal. So I love that you brought that up, and it's quite important. Again, you talked about networking. And this is another thing that maybe you can say something about. I know you've said. I know I've been discussing with people this, and many people think networking is about having business cards and going to put them on the tables and distributing business cards. I always say it's much more than that. People will pick your cards, they will never remember you, they will never remember where they put the cards. We need to create a conversation. We need to
Yes.
create a conversation and build that linkage. But I think sometimes we are always in a hurry. We just know if I distribute 50 cards, then 50 people have known about my product. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say about that? What's your experience?
Yeah, my experience has been, even for me, uh, if I really want to, let me just save my number on your phone, because I'll take that card, I'll put it in my handbag, but something will happen, I won't even remember you. So if I know I want someone, I think of, I need this service, I'll go to my phone and I'll look and I'll remember, oh, there's this person. And so there are many opportunities that are out there for free. Like recently, there was the quality day at KEBS, and it was a free event for different stakeholders. And so I did go, and I met someone who also is an industrial chemist, but he had come there. He works for the forestry department, the Kenya Forest Department. And so this was, being there would not have happened. And so from this just conversation, there are many things that have opened up in my business. So anywhere you go, just introduce yourself, you know. And one of the things I've also learned, which I'm still learning, is just have something, maybe if it's your business, if it's a jacket with your business, with the logo, it also sparks conversation. Or carry your product, whatever it is you have. It will spark conversation, and then people just open up and start talking to you. It's not, because initially, I personally fear networking events, because you're told 2 minutes, you talk to one person, to the other, like what will I even say in those 2 minutes? But when you're just somewhere and talking to people naturally, they'll even remember, oh, there was someone who lived at this, I'll connect you to that. And
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody with a comment, you can unmute and say something, comment. Otherwise, we will call Odhiambola. Prepare to give a vote of thanks to Juliet. Juliet Oduor has been a good friend of mine for a good number of years. Yes, Coach Nunda, what would you like to say?
Morning, Paul Peter, and not really much, but just to thank the presenter today. I think that was a very eye-opening, especially to those who are yet to get into business. I am sure there in this group that those people who are still anticipating to get into business, and the many ideas. I was there from the beginning when the speaker Oduor started sharing, and I've learned one or two that I think can add value. I think I like the courage that she has shared with us. Given that this is an area that many people would not want to venture into. Yeah. So thank you so much, Paul Peter. I also just noticed when you mentioned that the business goes to the hostel, that was or the business goes to the wedding because you are one person. So I think there are many nuggets that we keep on learning as we are here, that keep on making us and shaping our business and our thoughts. And also like the fact that you don't really have to, go the conventional way. You have to have all the documentation put together for you to be able to start a business. She has just shared with us here, out of a need, a business came up. Some of those things you can do them as you move on, but as a strategist, I will tell you that it's very important for you to be able to ensure that you have, the key policy documents like the business plan, what have you. You need to know about financing. How do you want to finance your business? Although some of them, the businesses you can start with 0 shillings. Paul Peter, you are aware. You don't need a single cent for you to be able to start your business. Yeah, so maybe I think in terms of the farmers that you're working with, maybe you just need to ensure that they are empowered at that level, so that at least even as you expand, then you don't feel short of your stocks and all that, any other thing that you need. So thank you so much, and I appreciate. Thank you for the opportunity, Paul Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Actually, part of what a lot of what you've gone through is quite interesting, and I love it. Live experience, what everyone goes through. Juliet, not Juliet, Christine Gikundi. Christine wanted to ask some question or give a comment. You raised up your hand. Are you still?
Yes, good morning. Apparently, this is my first day in this meeting, and how I wish we could have introduced ourselves, because I'm just hearing Juliet. I can hear live your dreams. So that was maybe my first concern. And the second one is I've really loved what this lady Juliet has said, because she has really enlightened me, because mine is as much is quite new, and I even asked a question on money matters, how you separate, but I'm still there. The business is me, myself, my money, my business. Thank you, and have a great day all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. We may not have introduced ourselves because there are always a lot of people in this meeting. If you start introducing yourselves, the allocated time won't be enough. But we always try to log in early from 7 to 7:15. We get to catch up and know each other and introduce ourselves. Another thing is as per Monday group, we always meet every Monday, and it's open for people every Monday from 7:15 to 8:15. And then we also even have a WhatsApp group, and we always have a meet and greet. The next one is coming on 10th of December. And that makes us get to know each other much better and network through our WhatsApp platform and things like that. Otherwise, we keep sharing information throughout the week, but every Monday we have a virtual meeting where we share information. Power Monday is a platform offered by Live Your Dream Enterprises, and we work with business people. We provide talks, we provide business development services, including the record keeping, taking people through what it means from step to step, getting to know your business, what would work for you as a business idea, how do you get started, how do you put your plans in place. We literally work with you. We can help you get registered. We build the capacity, team building, and all such things. So thank you very much, Christine, and you will get to know more and interact with us every other time. We use the same link. We will always welcome you. Odhiambola Ale, I hope you are ready. You can give a vote of thanks.
Yes, sorry. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I've moved because my internet was a bit weak on the other side. I have a sore throat, so sorry. That's why even I could have made it a bit, I couldn't make it on time. But all the same, I'm sure you're hearing me. Thank you so much, Juliet. What you've done is what I think many of us need more of this kind of forums, so that you can give us that encouragement and tips on how to start a business. Cannot just start. Starting is just the first challenge, because many people fear. And then the other thing, the resilience. In fact, everyone kept on saying that your resilience is very, very encouraging. And now I've also tried my hand in a number of those things that you're saying. Greenhouse, one time even we tried this called Moby Dick. Somebody came, you remember when the county governments were being put into place? So people were coming, experts, consultants, they were coming, the Nyanza we want, the Western we want. So they came and told us that, hey, New Ajaluo, you've been sleeping on your ears, unalalia maskio. So we were told to plant things like Moby Dick. I never even heard of it. We planted and we got a good harvest, because it's a wildflower out there. But then after the first two harvests, and we sent it to the Amsterdam, we exported. Another market was flooded. Everybody was seemingly doing the same thing. So that's why, Juliet, what you're doing is very good. You've identified a special niche and you're going for it. And then also the way with the experience you're going through, those are kind of things that I think we'll even need we may need another session on a one-to-one basis so that we can meet, as they say, behind the tent what Nairobi, okay, to discuss it further. But all the same, the way you're going into uncharted waters, or somehow business has also been made to look like it's a main affair. So because this weekend was International Men's Day, so you can say a happy International Men's Day. And for you, that is the way to go. And we look forward to another session of this nature and to help each other to do what the Bible tells us. And that is, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. You have given us so much knowledge that some of us right now, we're even spoiled for choice. Now you want to go out there and do something different. I think one of the things you told us many things, but one of the areas where I think why business is collapsed in the first 6 months is you see your neighbor has started opened a kiosk. Your neighbor is selling omena. Your neighbor is that kind of thing. And you also want to just do the same thing without studying the market and all those. So anyway, I'm a man I'm a storyteller. So if you leave me here, and I'll get forever. But Juliet, thank you so much. Keep it up. And we look forward to having more of those kind of engagements. Asante sana. Be blessed.
Thank you, Diambulale. I love that fact. You know, somebody said, I don't know whether it was Bitange Ndemo or Julius, we were the one who was. Yes, that we are not creative. You give people, they will say, oh, lack of capital, I don't have capital, I don't have. After that, they all start the same business. You see, this lack of creativity, lack of ingenuity is a big deal. Well, as we close, Melvin, Dr. Melvin, maybe you'd like to talk about our meet and greet